Welcome back, everybody. I'm bored. COVID made me bored, and today I'm taking a look at the Marvel vs. System two-player card game. This is created by Upper Deck. It is a second, a revamp of the original Versus System. I think the only difference is now they added 2PCG, two-player card game. I think I've never played the original Versus System, but from what I've read online, I've seen a couple cheap starter decks. I was thinking about getting it. I was reading the rule book on how to play. I think they streamlined some of the mechanics for this new edition, as well as turning this away from a collectible card game. The original Versus System was a collectible card game where, like all collectible card games, trading card games, you have to, try to buy cards, buy booster packs. They sold booster boxes. I think there were multiple themes. They think there was a DC theme as well as a Marvel theme. And I kind of wish that I haven't seen it yet, but I kind of wish that Upper Deck had a DC theme as well, so you could really have an interesting mishmash of worlds together rather than just Marvel. So this is the revamp of it. They streamlined some of the rules as far as I understand. I don't know all the rules from the original Versus System, so I can't really comment in terms of all the differences, but I think they took some of the mechanics and tried to make it a little bit easier for newcomers to the game, so it's a little less intimidating. I wouldn't say that this is a overly complicated game. I think the mechanics are interesting. It's different compared to some of the other TCGs and CCGs I have, and other card games I have. But there's still a fair bit. It's still fairly involved. I wouldn't say, and there's a lot to keep track of. I find that there's a lot of modifiers and experience that you're gaining, so you're having to constantly sort of keep track of the flow. But in terms of the turn sequence and the battles, it seems pretty straightforward. So in this game, this is the core box. You can buy expansions. As far as I understand, and I was trying to figure this out if I can just buy the expansions and play it, but I think there are cards in this core box that you need to fulfill the requirements for other expansions. But I'm not 100% sure. Maybe someone can comment and just clarify with me. I'm not an expert in this game. I literally just picked it up. It was cheap. It was a third, not even a third of the price. And maybe they're, moving on. Maybe they're coming out with something else. I don't know if they're still producing expansions. But I thought, I'm bored. I just want to get into something new, something different. And the mechanics of this game was different than pretty much any other card game that I have. So, like all Upper Deck products, I think the card quality is good. I think Legendary is better, but this is still pretty good compared to some of the other card games that I have from other companies, such as Panini and what's the other one? I forgot the other one I have. So, all in all, it came with 4 sets of decks. I actually only opened 2. So, I have the Guardian of the Galaxy. So it's pre-constructed in the sense that you have 100 cards, and they're all from the same affiliation. These are all Guardians of the Galaxy related members, and they also have an affiliation icon, a team icon. And of the 100, there's a mix of character cards. You have a hand, I think maybe 4 or 5 leader cards. Those would be your main characters that you are attacking. You'll have your support characters, which are other characters in your team. You'll have plot twists as well as location cards. And there's 100 in this, and you are to create 60. And in whatever flavor or combination you want. And you can even mix and match. It doesn't have to be Guardians of the Galaxy, but in terms of the rules, it helps sometimes when you're doing team attacks, they have to be from the same team. So if I had Storm and Rocket, this is the X-Men set. If I had Storm and Rocket together and they were out on the field, I wouldn't be able to team attack with them because they are from different teams. So I think there's a little bit of customization. I like that. You can mix from different Marvel teams to create sort of your dream team, if you want to call it that. You have a mix of your location cards and your plot twists that you can customize from various decks and sort of build that 60 card deck which hopefully comes out on top in your battles. So I didn't open these two yet because I'm just getting into it. I literally just got this game not too long ago, and I thought, oh, I should get a hang of the mechanics first before I crack this open. And I'm also need some place to put them. I bought some deck boxes to put them in. So until those come in, I'm going to keep these off to the side. What I did open, actually, also forgot to mention, aside from the rulebook, you also get a bunch of tokens. I kind of feel like it's a little underwhelming. I feel like there should be another tray of tokens, but so far I haven't run out, so that's a good thing. And maybe this is enough. I don't know. But the cardboard it's okay. I mean, it's nothing fancy. They're just tokens. They're just markers. They're double-sided. So the green ones indicate a +1 to your defense and offense, attack and defense values when a card or effect takes calls for it. You also have a -1. You also have a wound token, and you have an experience token. And they're double-sided, so it's 1 on the front, and you have +3, +3, +3, and then -3, 3 wounds, and 3 experience points. So you need these to keep track of your main character's wounds, as well as augmentation stats, as well as experience. And wounds and the +- tokens are for both main characters and supporting characters. So that's what it came with. In terms of your cards, so this is the Avengers deck, and you have, let's see here, you have leader cards, 1, 2, 3. So there are 4 leader cards per team. So this is the Avengers team deck, and it came with Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, and Spider-Man. Those are the main character cards. And with your main character, you have 2 levels that you can sort of, power up, and that's where you're gaining experience. So they each have a certain condition in order to be met to gain experience, and when you reach a minimum, or when you reach the actual amount of experience listed, then you would level up. So here, Iron Man has, can you see this in focus? Here we go. He has Armor Mark 3, level up. It requires 3 experience. So when a character on your side powers up, and I'll explain power up in a minute, Iron Man gains an XP. So once he gains 3 XP, you would switch him to his level 2 side. So some of the information for main characters, you have their level on the top left, you have their affiliation, their team affiliation on the top right, their character name, Iron Man, and he is a main character. And you'll have most characters and main characters and most supporting characters will have some kind of ability. He has Repulsor Blast, and it indicates that during the main phase, you can spend this type of energy to have this effect. And on the bottom left, you'll see he has several symbols. Not all characters have this symbol. The first one indicates that he has a flight symbol. The next symbol means he has a ranged symbol. And he has his attack defense value, yellow, blue, respectively. And in the bottom right, there is a wound indicator. That's basically his hit points. So 5 wounds, and he would be KO'd. Object of the game is to KO your opponent's main character. Supporting characters can be KO'd here and there. They are supporting. The ultimate goal is to defeat the opponent's main character. And you'll see for his level 2, his stats increase slightly, and some additional abilities, but his hit points remains the same. I think it carries over. So there you go. And Captain America, Hulk, and Spider-Man are the other main character cards, but I'm going to play Iron Man. And in terms of his cards, so this is not the full 60 deck. This is the 60 right here. In the instruction or rule book, they kind of give you your first game. You should have these cards. After that, you're free to customize. So you've got your supporting characters. So this, for example, is Ant-Man. He has a value at the top left, which is his cost value or resource cost value. He has his name, Ant-Man. He's a supporting character. His affiliation or team is Avengers. He has an ability, and it usually indicates when this ability takes effect, but most of the time it is something perpetual or a condition that takes place for that effect to happen. He has attack defense value at the bottom, and he also has his hit point value in the bottom right, which is 1. So most of the supporting characters, they usually have hit points of maybe 2 or less, 3 or less, I think. I haven't gone through all of them yet. So it doesn't take much to KO them. It's usually the main character that has a higher hit point value. And we have... So these are all the different supporting characters that you can sort of create your team deck. You've got Black Panther, you've got Daredevil, Hawkeye, Nick Fury, you've got Captain America. So you also have character cards which also are in your main characters as well. But you cannot play a supporting character with the same name as your main character. But you can still have them in your deck, and that's useful for powering up, which I'll explain in a bit. You got Ms. Marvel, Luke Cage, Doctor Strange, and Iron Man, Thor, and we have a plot twist card. These cards are sort of your event cards, or sort of you play them to either give you a bonus or an effect, either to hinder your opponent or provide you some kind of advantage. It usually has a card name. If it has a symbol in the top right, it means that only a team member from this symbol, so Avengers, can play this card. Some cards do not have an affiliation at all, in which case you can play it no matter who it is. And it usually has some kind of ability. And it'll also indicate when you can play it. So either during one of the phases, main phase or battle phase is usually so far what I've seen. And I'll talk about the phases in just a minute. The other item you have is a location card. The location, this one is not the location I want to use. This one has a special symbol. Let's see if I've got another location here. No, they all. So location has one of these, I guess, resource symbols. I think there is 5. There's a fist, there's a targeting, sort of a target arrow, there's a tech. Let me see if I can find it here. Sort of this, I'm not sure what that's considered. And you have another one which is sort of an energy, and I think that was it. And you have a wild card. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different types of, I guess, energy or energy symbols, and you can have them in your deck, and they can be used either discarded from your hand, or if you play this as a resource, which I'll explain in a second, you can use that to meet the requirement of a ability. So, for example, if I had Iron Man and during his main phase, I know this is the wrong symbol, but let's just say it was the fist energy, you could discard this to activate this main ability. All right. So on your turn, I think the initial hand is 7. So you'll have 7 cards in your hand. You have 1 opportunity for a mulligan, in which case you can shuffle it back, and then you would draw a new hand of 7 cards. And on your turn, in terms of the sequence, there's a draw phase, there's a recovery phase, there's a build phase, and then there's the main phase. During the draw phase, you'd be drawing 2 cards from your deck, and the very, very first turn, or the very first player to take their first turn of the game, they don't draw any cards. The recovery phase, is where if you have any characters that are stunned, and stunned is usually represented when if they've they've lost a battle and they've received a wound or something, they're usually stunned and their card is flipped upside down. And you would recover them, which is turn them face up, and you'd prepare them if they were tapped or exhausted. When you are attacking, you would tap. So during the recovery phase, not only do you flip over a injured or wounded player, if they're still alive and still on the field, you would also ready them by unexhausting them or untapping them. Then you would go into the build phase, which is where you can play a resource. All your cards, playing characters, abilities, they all require some kind of resource. And the resource will come from your hand, and you can choose any one card in your hand, and place them as resource. And when you're placing a location as a resource, it actually goes down face up, whereas all other resource cards go face down. So you can use a plot twist, you can use a character, supporting character, and use them as a resource, and they would go face down. But for anything that is a location, you would play it face up. And the reason is not only is it a resource, but it is an energy resource that you can also use to pay for abilities if you choose to use it from your resource row. If you choose to, you would flip it over, and that can no longer be reused unless you have some special effect that allows you to flip it back up. Otherwise, if you have it in your hand, you can discard it also to use an ability, as I mentioned before. So once you've put down your resource, you can do the recruit step, which is you can play a supporting character from your hand to the field if you have the number of resources to fulfill the resource requirement on that supporting character's card. And in terms of the player field, you have 3 rows. You'll have sort of a front row, and you'll have a back row, and you'll have a resource row. So like I said, when you're doing the resource step, your resource row is where you'll be laying out your resource cards. And including your main character, you will have them either positioned in the front row, or one in the front, one in the back, or if you have more cards, you'll have multiple. So if you have 2 characters, as I understand it, and you, let's say through the course of the game, they end up just in your back row and you have no cards in your front row, they're technically, in terms of the attack process, they are technically able to attack from your opponent to them because they're considered like there's no one blocking them. Basically, the whole point of the front and back is protection. The people in your back row are protected by the people in your front row, for the most part, depending on the character's ability and who they are. So I found that a little different. I find that a little, I think my initial impression was I can see maybe there's a sort of a, you've got an army, a battlefield, and you're sort of playing a strategy of trying to position people in the back row versus people in the front row, and depending on your character. And I can see the strategy in that, but at the same time, I find it a little annoying to have to do that. But I'm a very simple guy. Don't criticize me. I'm just saying I like it when it's just one row and you're doing your attack. All my other card games are very, very similar. So one of the reasons why I thought, it's cheap, I'd pick it up, give it a try, see if I like it. It's okay. I don't mind it. It's not terrible, and I kind of get it. I think I need to play some more to get a better feel for having better strategies. So this is nowhere near an expert level. I think you're better off watching some other well-seasoned or well-experienced player in the versus system that can show you a high-quality competitive game. So in terms of playing or recruiting a character, once you recruit them, you have an opportunity at that point to do a formation, which is sort of a sub-phase of the build phase. And that's where you can arrange your characters however you want between your back row and front row. You can have them all in the front. You can have them mixed up, depending who you want. And that would be it. And then you enter the main phase. In the main phase, you may have cards that have a main ability if you can pay the resource cost, or you may have a plot twist that can be played during the main phase. The main phase is different from the combat phase, even though the combat phase is a sub-phase of the main phase. And that's where I kind of got confused. I wasn't sure if you could do a main phase action or ability if you pay the resource, or play a plot twist that says main during a combat. And maybe someone can post a comment to clarify that, or I'm just missing it in the rule book. And then you have plot twists that have a combat, so you can only play it during a combat. So I get that. You can't play that during a main phase, even though it's a sub part of the main phase. Anyways, so you can do a melee attack. Melee attacks are if you have two front rows characters attacking each other. You can do a range attack, in which case you have someone in the back row attacking someone in the front row. And you can only do that, in this case, with Nick Fury, because he has a range symbol. If you have a character without this range symbol, they cannot be in the back row making an attack on the front row of your opponent. But if Nick Fury is in the front, he is more than welcome to do a melee attack in the front row of the opponent, but he cannot attack the back row of the opponent. But Iron Man can, because Iron Man has the flight ability. And with this flight ability, he can fly over the first row of the opponent and attack the back row if your opponent does not have a character in his front row with the flight ability. So it's kind of like, if you had Falcon on the other side and Iron Man wanted to fly over, Falcon would fly up and block his ability to do that. I guess that's how I picture it. Once you've done that, you would declare attacks, and attacking, you choose a character, tap, and declare who you're attacking, and any available plot twists or abilities that you can do during the combat portion, you can play those, and then you would resolve the battle simultaneously, attacker to defender, defender to attacker, exchanging their attack and defense values. If your attack exceeds the opponent's defense value, obviously they get wounded, and it would be considered they're stunned, and they would receive a wound token, and that's it. Once they're flipped face down, other characters cannot attack that particular character. And that makes sense. I guess you don't want to suddenly have multiple gang ups on that one character who just couldn't defend himself. So once that's done, you can also do a team attack where I was mentioning before, two characters from the same team or same team affiliation can do an attack. They both would tap, and they would attack a target character, one target character. And this is where you want to sort of combine your attack values to overcome a relatively strong single character. So you would add your attack values and hope that together, collectively, and it could be more than two characters, you can have 3 or 4 team attacks, attack the character, and when that character or the defender attacks back, he can only attack one of your team attack members. So hopefully I can show that in sort of a playthrough. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to set this up. So I've got Iron Man, and I have his second level off to the side. At some point I may hopefully upgrade him to his second level. And I've got the Avengers deck sitting right here. I'll give it a quick shuffle. Oops. And let's just put this off to the side. So I'll put, for now, I have Iron Man in the front row. So I'm going to put the front row right here. The back row will be here, and my resource row will be down here. Hopefully you can see it. And we'll be up against Thanos. So I'll also put Thanos in his front row. And he's got his, I think this is called just the villain deck or super villain deck. So these are all of the villains or most of the villains in the Marvel universe. You've got Doc Ock, you've got Ultron, you've got Mandarin, so variety of of the villains. So I'll have his deck right here. So Thanos will have his front row here, his second back row here, and his resources there. And we'll draw 7 cards. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I think for Iron Man, I think I'm gonna, I mean, this is great, but I think I'm gonna mulligan because I don't have a single character, and that's not good for me. So I'm just gonna shuffle this back in, and I'm gonna redraw 7. Whatever I draw now, I'm stuck with. So if I have a bad or not an optimal hand, then I'm stuck with that hand. So I'll draw another 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that's a little better. So I've got Doctor Strange, Nick Fury, a couple plot twists, and another Doctor Strange. Now, when you're playing your supporting characters, you obviously can't have 2 Doctor Stranges. But what you can do is if you do have a Doctor Strange, and I believe during the main phase, you can discard an exact copy of the supporting character that you have, even with your main character. If you have the Iron Man one, you would discard it into your discard pile. And by doing so, you would be providing a +1 to his attack and defense. And in terms of attack and defense modifiers, as I understand it, this is perpetual. This stays on until he is stunned, because when he's stunned, he flips over and he loses all any augmentation points, and he gains a wound. But until that happens, this is perpetual. It stays, unless the card says it only applies during a combat. That's how I read it. So after combat, if it was only during a combat, after combat, you would remove the +1. So that's if you have an identical card with a current supporting character or main character on the field, and you want to power up. I believe that's how it works. So I'm okay with this hand. I'll take this back. And then Thanos will draw his 7. And let's say in classic style, Thanos is going to attack first. So we're okay with this. We got 2 Doc Ocks. It's okay. We'll live with that. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to go ahead. I sort of want to play this fair. He's going to take a mulligan. We'll shuffle. We'll draw 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't think this is any better, but I'm stuck with it. So Abomination and a bunch of plot twists. Okay. So Thanos is going to go first. Thanos says, okay, it is the draw phase. He doesn't draw a card because this is the very first turn of the game. So instead, we go into the recovery. I have no characters that are wounded that need to be, or tapped, that need to be recovered or unexhausted. So I just go straight to the build phase, which I can play a resource. And here I've got a couple location cards. And so I'm going to play this as a resource card, and I'm going to play it face up. Can you see that? I think so. Let me just move these down a little. There we go. Okay. So the resource step is done. Now I would do a recruit. But unfortunately, I have no one I can recruit. And you'll see on my plot twist, you'll see this sort of circular symbol beside the word combat. So the word combat means that you can play this card during the combat phase. And I think the circle means that you can play it anytime during the combat phase. So I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that is the rule. It's not a particular point. It's just anytime you can play this during your combat, and it can take effect. So I have quite a few of those. I think a lot of them have that symbol. So at this stage, we can go straight to the main. There's no formation because we're going to have Thanos right at the front, and we can start declaring an attack. So I would tap Thanos, and I want to attack Iron Man. And with Iron Man, or before Iron Man chooses to defend, if I want to, I'm able to play a plot twist. And I can play quite a few. As far as I understand, you can play as many plot twists as you want. and that would be fine. So I'm going to play this one, which is choose an attacker to get +2 to their attack value this combat. So during this combat, Thanos will get +2. So I play this card into my discard. Thanos has +2. I don't think it needs to have the tokens if you can. It's just during the battle. So, but I'm just putting there just so that you know. And this is where Iron Man has an opportunity to play any plot twist as well. And we'll just go ahead and play this one. So this one can be played at any time during the combat, and this is cancel the combat, which means Thanos doesn't get to attack. So the combat is over. We don't exchange any attack values. We don't need to compare any values because I've canceled or Iron Man has canceled. So now the turn is over. We flip it over to Iron Man's turn. He draws 2. And we're going to put down a resource. We'll put down this one. Let me see if you can see that. Right there. The screen is a little tight on space, but if I move this just up a little bit, there we go. So you can at least see the resource that I have here. Okay, so I've done that. That's my resource. I didn't have anybody to recover. Iron Man wasn't injured, so we're okay. We can go to the formation step. Oh no, sorry, not formation. We can do the recruit step. I can't recruit anyone because Captain America's my minimum or my lowest one is 3. So I'm just going to go ahead and so even though Thanos is exhausted, I can still attack him. If he was, for whatever reason, injured from the last battle and he was stunned, he'd flipped over, I can no longer attack him. But I can attack him. So let's see what I want to do. Do I have anything interesting? Sure. I'm going to declare an attack. I tap. I'm declaring to attack Thanos. I get to play this plot twist during combat, which is I can gain +2, 2. So 2 to my attack, 2 to my defense. So just for the sake of argument, 2 and 2. So Iron Man has a total attack value of 4, a defense of 6, and Thanos has a defense of 4 and attack of 3. Can he play? And we will. So I can play, for Thanos' side, I can play this one. During the combat, choose a defender to get +4 attack to this combat, and I will. So I'm choosing Thanos. He's going to get 7. So this is where we exchange and compare attack defense values at the same time. Iron Man's 4 attack to Thanos' 4 defense is a successful hit. Thanos' 7 attack because of his +4. I guess I could represent that by here. +4 gets past Iron Man's defense of 6. So in this situation, they each take a wound and they'd be stunned and take a wound. So we'd flip the card over and they would each receive 1 wound. And that's it. That would be the end of that battle. Now, if I had another card, a supporting character, I can't attack Thanos because he's the only character. But if Thanos had another character who wasn't stunned, then I could attack them with my other supporting character. So that ends this particular battle. So now it's Thanos' turn, where he would flip over. He has his one wound. We do the draw phase. He draws 2. We recover him, and he's untapped and prepped. We play a resource. We'll play the sort of wildcard resource. I have 2 resources in my resource row, and now when I can recruit Ronan, he is a supporting character. Because he doesn't have flight or ranged, he is ideally, his position would be in the front row because he can't attack from the back row and he can't really do much else. So I'm putting him in the front row as well. And that would be the end of my recruit. And formation, I'm happy having these 2 guys in my front row. Let me move this up a little. There we go. So normally I'd be entering the main phase where I can declare an attack, but there's nobody to attack because Iron Man has been wounded from the previous battle. His card's face down. There's nothing I can do to attack. So Thanos is going to sit there and wait for Iron Man to get on his feet again. So now we flip sides. Iron Man's turn. We draw 2 cards. And we're going to recover Iron Man. And we play a resource. So right now I can play any card as a resource, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play Doctor Strange as my resource. So I would play him face down. And let's see, play him face down. Now I have 2 resources, and I so happen to pick up Hawkeye, so I can pick up Hawkeye, and I can, if I want to, I can put him in the back row behind Iron Man, but I'm going to put him in the front row. And I'm trying to think here what would be the best strategy I could do. I think this is where I'll show a sort of a team attack. And I'm also going to show a power-up. So that was my recruit formation step. Now I go into main phase. I can declare battle. I'm in my main phase. I'm going to, because I have this Iron Man card, I can, even if I had 6 resources, I can't play Iron Man into my field because my main character is Iron Man. So the only use for this card is because this character matches my main character. I can discard this, and I can do a power-up on Iron Man. Iron Man has a special ability, which was his level up Armor Mark 3. When a character on your side powers up, Iron Man gains an XP. So here's an XP. I'll keep an XP on it. So this is where I feel it gets kind of crowded keeping track of all these tokens on your character, especially when you're flipping them over, but it is what it is. I kind of understand why you need it to keep track. I may or may not sort of replace the wounds for the main character with a dice, or experience with a dice, and maybe get sort of those dice that have the plus 1 through 6 modifiers, plus or minus 1 through 6 modifiers. I saw that on Amazon. Thought it'd be useful in this situation. So Iron Man has plus 1, so he has a 3/5, and I'm going to also a 3/5, which is not enough to defeat Thanos, but I could do a team attack, and that might be enough. So let's give it a try. So I'm going to also I'm going to declare my attack. So I'm going to do it. I declare a team attack. I'm using Hawkeye and Iron Man because they are both on the same team, so I can do a team attack together. And I choose Thanos to be my target. I would add together during the combat. I would be, or when I would do the resolution of the combat, I would be comparing the combined value of their attack to the defense of the defender. I'm also going to play this card because I can do that during the combat. Choose a character to get +2 to this combat, and I will choose +2/2. I will give that to Iron Man. So now he is +3. Actually, yes, +3, and that's during this combat. So at the end of the combat, I would flip him back to just +1 because when I powered up, that's perpetual until he is wounded. But for now, during this combat, I'm giving him a +2, which means he has a total of +3. So he has a 5/7 to his attack plus Hawkeye's attack value of 2. So this is where Thanos can play a card, if he can, a plot twist. And if he wanted to, well, this would not benefit him. And playing this card won't benefit because I think it's a team attack, so that's all we can do. So we have no choice. So this is a successful hit. So Thanos would be taking a wound. He'd be stunned and taking wound, but we're also using his value to attack one of these 2 characters. Clearly Iron Man has a 7 defense, so Thanos would be attacking Hawkeye. Hawkeye has a defense of 3. It would stun him and give him a wound, but his hit point is 1, so he automatically gets KO'd. So before we do that, Thanos has the Mad Titan. He levels up when a character on any side, sorry, not he levels up, he has a level up value of 6 experience points. When a character on any side gets KO'd, Thanos gains an experience point. So not only does he get wounded with a second wound out of his 6, he also gains an experience point. And that ends that battle. So now we would draw 2 cards and recover Thanos. There's no such thing as a team defense, so only a team attack. We're going to put down a card for resource. We'll put this card down for resource. And I have a total of 3. So I will play Mystique, and I'll put her in my front row. And I think that's it. Okay, so we have to put this back down. So Iron Man is back down to attack 3 with 5 defense. So we're going to try to make this one count. Choose another face-up character. Base attack. Okay. So we're going to do a team attack with... So we want to try to guarantee this one. So there's no other character, so we're going to do a team attack with Thanos. They're all on the same team. A total value, attack value of 8. And Thanos can choose to play a plot twist if he wants, but we're not going to. Iron Man is the target. He could play this one, but this won't really give him any advantage because I think that's too overpowering and I don't have any other plot twist to take. So this is where Iron Man's going to take a hit. So when a character is stunned, they lose all their plus 1 or any of the augmentation tokens. So he's going to get stunned. He keeps his experience, but he gains another wound. So he's 2 out of his 5. And that's it. There's nothing else Thanos can do. So he's going to stay like that. I'll keep these on there. And now we would switch sides to Iron Man, draw 2 cards. We would prep and ready and recover Iron Man. And we put down a resource, which will be this one. We'll just put this way. I don't think the order of resources matter. Okay, so I have 3. Okay, so we're going to put Captain America down. So with Captain America, I'm going to place him and I'm going to do a formation like this. So I've moved Iron Man into my back row and I have Captain America in my front row. So I'm hoping he can, I'm hoping he can help. So he has an ability, while he is team attacking, you choose who the defender strikes back against, which is okay, that's pretty cool. But I'm not going to do a team attack. And it says, when another character appears on your side, put a +1 counter on it. So that is, again, perpetual, the way they phrase it. Not during a combat, it's just when another character shows up on your team, you can put a +1 on it. And I think that's it. There's nothing else I can do. And I can now clear an attack. So just to sort of show you what it means for Iron Man to be in the back row, he has the flight as well as the ranged ability. If he didn't have that, he's just back here. There's nothing he can do. It'd be equivalent to if I did this. Iron Man's in back. I mean, Captain America's in the back row. He is really a melee character. So he can't actually attack anybody if I if I formed it this way. By having Captain America in the front row, Iron Man has the ranged. Iron Man can actually attack the opponent's front row because he has ranged. If, let's just say I had Mystique back here, Iron Man, even with just say with ranged, I can't attack Mystique. I can only still attack the front row of my opponent. But Iron Man also has flight. And because of that, I am able to not only, I can fly over, not only can I attack from the back row because of the ranged, I can actually fly over the front row and attack Mystique. I find that I have to make reference to the rule book just to make sure I'm understanding those two symbols. And I think it's just because I'm new. I think seasoned players of this game probably have it memorized like the back of their hand. So with that flight, I can fly over the front row and attack. But I can only do that if no one in my opponent's front row has the flight symbol. And also, if I use the ranged attack and I attack from the back row to the front row, so for example, let's say if Iron Man's attacking Ronin, with Ronin, he can only attack me back if he has ranged, the ranged symbol. So that I thought was kind of interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and, so Mystique was up here. So we're going to declare an attack, and I'm going to declare an attack with Iron Man. I'm going to attack the front row, and I'm going to, actually before I do that, sorry, I didn't realize. So with this particular plot twist, it says main. Put a +1 counter on a character on your side. It gains range this turn. So I'm going to play that, and I give Iron Man +1. He's already ranged, so that's okay. So I'm going to declare an attack from Iron Man to Ronin. And if Thanos has anything he wants to play, he could. So we play this one, which is during the combat anytime, you can put a -1 counter on each enemy character in combat. So I do that, and as a result, I get a -1 on Captain America. Oh, not yet. Each character, enemy character in combat. So currently, Iron Man is in combat with Ronin. So instead of putting a -1 counter, I'm just going to remove his +1 counter because it negates it. So that's it. Iron Man is attacking with a 2 to Ronin's 3. And I think that was it. So this is unsuccessful attack. And no one gets stunned. No one gets a wound. It was a failed attempt. So now, Captain America, I declare, I think you do one attack at a time. I declare an attack with Captain America to Thanos, and I have nothing that I can play during combat. I have one that I can play, but it's not going to really do anything. So we have Captain America's 4 to Thanos' defense of 4, and Thanos has 3 to Captain America's 4. So Thanos is going to be stunned, and he's going to receive a wound. So now he is at 3 wounds. He still has his 1 XP. Captain America, unfazed, because he came out on top on that battle. So now we're going to draw 2 cards for Thanos, and we're going to prep. Okay, so now we put down a resource. I'm going to put down Magneto as my resource. And I have 4. I'm going to play Green Goblin. Green Goblin has flight. So as I understand that, even if Green Goblin is in the back row, he can fly over the front row to attack Iron Man. If he's in the front row, but he cannot attack, sorry, he can fly over the front row to attack the back row, but if he's in the back, he cannot do a melee attack on Captain America. That's how I understand it. But if Green Goblin is in the front row, he is able to do both. He can do a melee attack to Captain America, and he can fly over the front row to attack the back row. I believe that's how it works. I'm not 100% sure. So, but I'll put him in the front row anyways. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to declare a team attack with Ronin and Mystique. They have a combined attack value of 5, and they're going to attack Captain America because they are both doing melee. They are both front row, and there are no combat cards I want to play. For the defender, there are no combat cards that he can play. So we would exchange attack defense. So their attack of 5 beats Captain America's 4 defense. So he's definitely going to be stunned. And his 4, he's going to go ahead and attack Ronin. So, actually no, we'll go ahead and attack Mystique. Yeah, sure, we'll attack Mystique, okay? So, Iron Man, he only has a hit point of 1, so he's automatically KO'd, and so is Mystique. When that happens, Thanos gains 2 experience points, so he's now at 3. Now we're going to declare an attack where Green Goblin is going to make an attack to Iron Man. Thanos doesn't have to. So we're going to declare that attack. It's Green Goblin's 4 to Iron Man's 4 defense. And Iron Man's 2 attack cannot beat Green Goblin's 3 defense. So Iron Man is going to take a wound. And that's it. So Thanos cannot attack because Iron Man has been wounded already. So now it's Iron Man's turn. We're going to prep him, draw 2. We're going to put down, we're going to put down, we'll put down Nick Fury for energy or for resource. And we have now 4. We're going to play Miss Marvel. So we're just going to arrange it so that they're in the front row. And we are going to, let's see. We are going to use Miss Marvel's ability. We've entered our main phase. So during the main phase, you can spend a, I guess, power energy. I'm not sure. I'll have to find out what these terms mean. But that's the blue one. And this one's a wild card, so I flip it over if I'm using it. It can no longer be used again. And I put a 1+1 counter, or +1/+1 counter on Miss Marvel for each other ranged character on your side. I have 1. So here I will increase her by +1. And that's it. So she has 4 and 4. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to do an attack on Thanos. I don't need to do a team attack because I think we're okay. Because she has 4 attack, 4 defense. So she should survive this one. Is there any harm to do a team attack? No, so let's just do a team attack. I declare a team attack on Thanos. And this won't do me any good. So Thanos is going to take a wound. He's going to exchange his attack, but it doesn't beat anybody's defense. So he's going to gain another wound, and he's going to be stunned. So he has 4 out of his 6. So that's it. Nothing else can do. We draw 2 cards for Thanos. And we flip them over and ready. I may not be playing this right, but I'm about to do something which I think just creates a huge advantage for Thanos. And I don't know if I'm doing this right, but okay. So first of all, we're going to play a resource. I have this resource we're going to play. And then I'm going to enter my main phase, sorry, my recruit phase. I have 5. I'm going to play Abomination. And they're all in my front row because none of them have ranged, so they'd be useless in the back. I could put Thanos in the back, but I kind of, like, he's really powerful, I feel. Maybe I'm playing him wrong. So that's it. So I'm in my main, and Thanos has an ability here, which I can pay the cost of the Green Fist energy, or resource. I shuffle each character in a KO pile back into its deck. Then, I put that many +1 counters on Thanos. So if I choose my opponent's discard pile, or his KO pile, and I'm going to reshuffle back in all the characters. So here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. So there's 3. So when I do this, Thanos gets +3. And it's perpetual until he's defeated. And he can keep on doing this as far as I can tell. It's not like a one-time thing. It's every time he has the resource to pay, he can do that. I just think that's crazy. So now he's at 6 and 7 in terms of his attack defense. So I'm going to shuffle these back into the Avengers deck. That's during the main phase. And we can now start declaring our attacks. So let me put this back in. So Thanos is a sort of a one-man army at this point. We're gonna do a team attack with Green Goblin and Ronan against Ms. Marvel, and I have no cards on the Avengers side to help her. She has a 4 defense. They have a total value 7, so she's going to get stunned. So when she gets stunned, she loses the +1 token. It doesn't come back, and she gains 1. She has a hit point of 2, so she's not KO'd yet. And now, I'm going to tap Thanos to attack Iron Man, and obviously there's no chance here. Iron Man has 4 defense against his 6, so he is going to be hit, and he will gain his 4th wound out of his 5. And that's it. Thanos can't do anything. So the Avengers get to go. We draw 2 cards. We recover our characters. And we play a resource. We're going to play a resource. We want to play a resource. Oh, I only have... Oh, sorry, I have 5. So we'll do Doctor Strange. So I have 5. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play Luke Cage. During my formation, I'm going to put him in the front. And that's it. That's all I can do. And I'm hoping that I can, well, I hope that I can best this somehow. Okay, so not a lot of options here. So I have Luke Cage and he has 7, so he is the only chance I have against Thanos. So I'm going to, first of all, let's see. Can I do a team attack? Yes, I can. So with Ms. Marvel and Iron Man, I can declare a team attack from the back row only if they both have the range symbol, and they both do. So I'm going to declare a team attack. They have a total of 5, and I would like to go ahead and attack Ronan. Or should I go Thanos? That's only 5. So I'm going to attack Ronin. I have no cards to play, no plot twists, and this adds no value to me. So 5 to Ronin's 3, it's a hit. Then Ronin gets to attack back, which he would attack... No, he can't, because he doesn't have ranged. Or he doesn't have flight, I think. Your character can fly over your opponent's front row to attack a back row character. He's not, but he has ranged. So you can make a range. You can choose one of your back row characters to be the attacker. The defender can only strike back if it also has the range symbol. So Ronin can't even attack back. So he's going to gain a wound. So he'll gain a wound out of his 2. And that's it. And Luke Cage is going to declare an attack against Thanos. And he has anytime during combat, I can spend this energy, which I will. So I'm going to flip this over. If Luke Cage is stunned this combat, he does not receive a wound because he only has a hit point of 1. So it's called Impervious Skin. Very thematic for Luke Cage. We're attacking Thanos. And if I wanted to, I might be able to play this. Would this help? So a 7 defense and a 6 attack. This I can play. So I play this card, and during combat, switch the current attack and defense value of a character for this combat. So I'm going to switch this around. So he's a 6 attack and 7 defense, which means that his 6 attack no longer is able to defeat Thanos' 7 defense. And likewise, Thanos' 6 attack cannot defeat Luke Cage's 7 defense. So, stalemate. Nothing happens. And that's it. So now it's Thanos' turn. We draw 2 cards. We prep and ready and recover our characters. And this could be it. So right now, the only person that can attack Iron Man is Green Goblin, because he has the flight symbol. Everyone else is in the front line, and they're currently being blocked by Luke Cage. But we can easily do short work of that by attacking with Thanos. So we do the resource step. We will play... Oh, sure. Let's go with Sabretooth. Resource. And you don't have to. You don't have to play a resource card. It just helps if you want to get your higher costed characters out there. And with my 6 resource, I can put Magneto out. And Magneto has a magnetic suppression. Enemy supporting characters can't recover. They remain stunned. So I'm going to play him in my back row. And now I get to declare my attacks. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to declare an attack with Abomination and Ronin. Team attack. They have a total of 8. Luke Cage has a defense of 6, and I have nothing to play, so he's going to get KO'd. And Thanos gains an experience. And now, because there's no more front row, Iron Man is open to attack by front row characters, which makes sense. I get it. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to attack with Thanos. Thanos currently has a 6 attack and 7 defense, and this could spell the end of Iron Man, and it does. And while I'm at it, I have this card in the villain's hand. I could discard Thanos to give him another +1, so he'd be 4. Which would be 7 and 8, but I don't need to. This is enough to KO Iron Man because he's already at 4 wounds, and that's it. So Thanos and his thugs win. I'm not sure if I played Thanos wrong because he seems awfully powerful in this game once he gains that, once he uses that ability. And from what I can tell, it sticks with him. It doesn't say that you have to remove it. It just says You do that main power, and that's it. He was never. Oh no, I think I recovered him, right? I may have done that wrong. I'll have to look back. I think I did attack him. He flipped over, I recovered him. He shouldn't have had this back. So if he didn't have this back, that's fine. He would be back here. I would have discarded this card. Oh, I would have discarded this to give him a +1. Sorry, guys, I may have done this wrong. And I could have played this during combat to give Iron Man a -1. And in doing so, I would have declared my attack, right? So he would have 4 and 5 against Iron Man's 1 and 3. So that would still be a valid attack. So even though I messed up, I think, because I recovered Thanos, the question is, did I recover him once or twice? So that'd be it. Thanos wins, and the game is done. So there you go. That is a very rookie playthrough of the Versus system, the Marvel Versus system two-player card game. And hopefully you enjoyed that. It's an interesting game. I think I'm still trying to get a better grip of the rules and the flow of the combat, especially with the back row attacking the front row and attacking and flying over the front row if they can fly over the front row. There's a lot ongoing. So let's say if I had Luke Cage back here, and let's say with Miss Marvel, I want Miss Marvel to, let's say she was here, and let's say she's in the front row and I want to fly over to attack Magneto. I can't, because Green Goblin has the flight symbol. So in order for Ms. Marvel to be able to do that, I need to be able to use Luke Cage to take out Green Goblin first. So I see the strategy play. I think there's a lot to keep track of, especially you have to be mindful of what characters are in your opponent's front row, mindful of what abilities they have, like in terms of their flight or ranged, and then you're positioning, you're trying to protect your back row if you can, and prevent your opponent from sort of gaining that leverage. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, stay bored.